G20 finance minister agreed to work toward effectively taxing the super rich, and I press doubt. I press X. Whenever somebody tells you they are gonna tax the rich, in most of the cases they don't. They simply don't. Or there's simple corruption involved and the rich do not pay their fair share. We're gonna have one more article about the wealth or about the super rich. We're gonna have that article like Rio de Janeiro, AP. Finance ministers from leading rich and developing nations agreed Friday to strive towards effectively taxing the super rich, a joint ministerial declaration said. With full respect to tax sovereignty, we will seek to engage cooperatively to ensure that ultra-high net worth individuals are effectively taxed, the declaration said after the two-day meeting in Rio de Janeiro. That is going to be quite of an arduous task, because the super rich usually store their wealth into stocks, and taxing stocks is quite difficult, because in the end you're probably gonna end up taxing everybody who holds any stocks, including the people who just want to make some money off stocks and who are not really that wealthy. So this would lead against for general population to be against this. However, I mean it's hard. I mean it's hard to force them to actually pay their own share, because I mean you have people like Bezos, Musk, and many other billionaires who simply have way more than they should have had. Like the wealth gap is real. And it's still widening. And it's only a matter of time before, like, if the world economy was to collapse right now, like, it is quite possible we would have a return of a serfdom or something similar to serfdom. Simply because there's a lot of stupid people who will show for the ultra-rich. We still do not understand why. I mean, there's a reason why they are called people with a lower intelligence, because I mean, like, the rich do not care about you. You are their resource. You provide them the wealth they have, they possess, those yachts, that everything is from you. It's from your hard work. And you support them only because they say they value you, they respect you. Oh nice, that's great that the wealth respects you. Oh yeah, how is that going to help you that you live from one wage to another? Brazil has made proposal to impose a 2% minimum tax on billionaires, a top priority of its presidency of the Group of 20 ahead of the November 18th-19th summit in Rio. While the final declaration stopped short of agreeing on specific global tax, Brazilian Finance Minister Fernando Haddad nevertheless called it a significant step forward. We were always optimistic about this result, but it really exceeded our initial expectation, Haddad told reporters. I mean, it's nice that they can come to an agreement in G20, however, you have to implement on the national stage, which usually is much bigger of a pain. Brazil's proposal to tax billionaires has divided G20 nations. France, Spain, and South Africa has expressed support, while the US is against. Oh, I wonder why the USA, the country with the most billionaires in the world, the country that is basically made out of lobbying for politicians and from the rich, you know, assigning you the politicians you're gonna vote for and the presidents you're gonna vote for. Yeah, I wonder why would they be against. Tax policy is very difficult to coordinate global, and we don't see a need or I think it's desirable to try to negotiate a global agreement on that. That is very bad statement. And there should be a global tax on the billionaires who operate in multiple countries. Like, they should not be, you know, sending their taxes to only one government. Like, if they operate in a certain country, then they should pay taxes there. This goes for the tech giants, obviously, like Google, Meta, and stuff like this. I know there has been a lot of progress in the past few years, however, there is still work to be done. And especially, I mean, if you watch like the ads and stuff like that, then Google gets the ad revenue, which is then sent to the creators, and also the state should probably also get some of it. However, hey, people probably think like Google would be like go bankrupt or anything like that. They would not. It's very hard to explain, and I should probably make a research about that, but I'm kind of tired about this. I am not really that interested to learn more about Google. I already know quite a bit about Google. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told journalists Thursday, "Oh, it wouldn't be that bad to actually coordinate it. I'm just gonna do something real quick. Governments fear the super rich would transfer their money to tax havens if a country individually adopted such a tax," said economist Rogerius to that, a senior fellow at the Brazilian Center for International Relations think tank. That is very likely, and I believe some of these super rich already have their money or they pay taxes in tax havens. So there's a reason why this should be adopted global-wise and not on simply a national or like the independent national stage. Like it should be adopted on the national stage, like meaning like on the worldwide national stage. Obviously, if you adopt this in individual states and some states simply like the USA disagree, then I mean the USA do not want to implement this because they want more billionaires. They want even more wealthy people to come into the US to pay taxes there so they can potentially get out of their debts, which at the moment is looking really bad. The US debt is almost $35 trillion. It is very big, very scary. That's what she said. When action is done collectively, everyone wins. When there is a fragmentation, many lose, Studart said. That is true. The richest 1% have amassed 42 trillion in new wealth over the past decade. Oh, we are going to be actually talking about that in a follow-up article from CNN. Nearly 36 times more than the entire bottom of 50% of the world population, according to an Oxfam analysis released Thursday ahead of the finance ministers' meeting. Do you think it's fair, guys? Do you think this is fair? And a lot of people will once again show that they deserve it because they've been working hard, you know. Or people like Elon Musk have been bettering the humanity and stuff like this. Their wealth comes from you, alright? The billionaire, the ultra-rich wealth comes from your hard work. It is you who make them rich. It is the scientists, the workers that make these ultra-rich so goddamn rich. It is your hard work that made them reach such heights. The scientists at least get a more of a return. Because I mean, hey, they have a education, so they're gonna get a little bit of more money. However, the workers, the ones at the bottom, oh, they do not get that much. They don't get near as much. And sometimes their work is much more stressful, much more difficult than those of a scientist. Like everybody has a certain role to play. Everybody should work in a symbiosis, and everybody should get adequately rewarded, which at the moment is kind of failing. Most of these 50% is obviously from Africa or Asia nations. Once again, I mean, EU and North America have propelled to such heights because they exploited such countries for their resources, for their oil. God damn it, the meme about USA invading you because you have oil. Like, do you think this comes out of someone's ass? No, it does not. Europe and America had exploited those nations in past. That is why Europe and America are so goddamn ahead, because they managed to accumulate so much wealth from the exploitation of those African nations. And eventually that wealth is going to shift towards these African people, because the West is dying out. That is true. The West is not reproducing enough. Its toxic economy had caught up to them, and now, even for those who are rich, compared to those at Africa and Asia, they simply cannot afford to have children, or they don't want to have children and want to focus solely on career path. And the West's economy is very toxic. It's said to be in a permanent growth. Like the West's economy does not anticipate a sudden population stagnation or even decline. Should any of that happen, the West would immediately fall, would immediately collapse. So and here are the people from Africa and Asia who come in. Yeah, they will move in and they will eventually become a majority in those nations because those people who formerly exploited them for so many of natural resources, well, they will be caught by their own toxic economy. They were not able to fix that economy. They were not able to create a new economy that would be elastic against any sort of a population decline or stagnation. And those people from Africa and Asia will finally get some sort of a, I don't want to say revenge, but they will finally get their own hands on the wealth. So yeah, this is the probable future. It will not be that easy. I think something probably very radical is going to happen and which is going to cause a lot of casualties most likely. Well, that's quite likely because even now we can see the populations of different nations, different kinds of religions are getting radicalized, and this does not bode well, especially when World War III is kind of looming around. It's very sad. The billionaire currently pay the equivalent of 0.3% of their wealth in taxes, according to a report by Gabriel Zuckman, commissioned by Brazil. A 2% tax would raise $200 billion to $250 billion per year globally from about 3,000 individuals. That's a lot of money. A money that could fund public services such as education and healthcare, as well as the fight against climate change, the report said. Now I'm gonna interject my own idea. I said that the wealthy, the ultra wealthy, they should donate or invest some of their material into their wealth into public projects. Yeah, there should be a list of public projects, somewhere in the local government, and the wealthy should be able to invest into projects like new roads, new hospitals, new schools, new books, new equipment for hospitals, schools, or even some science centers. And if that sum would be filled, then the money would then get spilled to some other regions with less billionaires. And if such region would start to be a little bit behind, then those billionaires would be simply instructed to invest into that state. So we would have some sort of a equity, I guess. It's not ideal. There are still a lot of sports where it could probably be exploited. However, hey, it's an idea, and I just said it out of my head. Like, I was not thinking about this at all. And there are people who would be able to actually transform this idea into something a little bit more productive than me. Well, I could be able to transform it if I actually thought about it for more than 2 minutes, but hey, maybe in future. Zuckman, who is founding director of the Paris-based EU Tax Observatory, celebrated the outcome of the finance ministers' meetings. For the first time in history, there is now a consensus among G20 countries that the way we tax the super-rich must be fixed, and a commitment to work together for this it's an important step in the right direction, he said in a statement. NGOs also welcomed the declaration while encouraging further action at the G20 summit in November. Extreme weather events made more likely by climate change are expected to cost trillions of dollars every year, and it is outrageous to expect that the regular taxpayer should pay for it. Camila Jardim, an international politics specialist with Greenpeace Brazil, said in a statement, Brazil has put inequality, poverty and hunger at the heart of its presidency of G20. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva defended the need for increased taxation of the world's richest in Rio on Wednesday, when he unveiled plans for global alliance against hunger and poverty. Brazil is also pushing for changes in global governance institutions and advocating for a sustainable energy transition. On the sidelines of the discussion around taxation, Haddad, And Yellen on Friday announced the launch of climate partnership between Brazil's Ministry of Finance and the US Treasury. It will seek to address today's most pressing environmental challenges and strengthen the region's green economy, Yellen said, citing efforts to bolster green energy supply chains and improve the integrity and effectiveness of the voluntary carbon market. And as I said sometimes before, invest into nuclear energy. That's the easiest way how to close those coal energy plants. That is unironically the easiest way. Build more nuclear power plants, you're gonna produce way more energy, and you're gonna be able to afford closing those coal plants, which in turn is going to produce less CO2 emissions to the atmosphere and run away green gases. It's easy as that. And this is the entire article. So yeah, I think it's important that the super rich get taxed and they distribute way more wealth into the regular human lives. As somebody who is a nerd into space exploration, I would hand out exceptions to the individuals who invest into space exploration on the conditions that there would be set of goals from them they would have to finish in a certain amount of time. And as long as they would be able to push our humanity to greater heights in the space exploration race, then they would be absolved from such taxes. However, if they would fail, then they would be taxed. Obviously, there would be some sort of a delay before taxing them. Like, for example, let's say Elon Musk would have to launch a manned space crew to Mars in the latest date of 2035. There would be, let's say, 1 year of extra time for him. Like if it was actually underway and he was just polishing any possible issues with such launch, because hey, sending people to Mars or other planets or even to the moon, like it has to be done very safely. Safety is number one priority, period. So there you go. As long as it's space exploration, this in my own biased opinion, they could be exempt. Although I don't think I would exempt them though they would also have to put out some sort of a percentage of their wealth or income into that. Alright, into the the space agency they have. Like they could not just simply invest the amount they invested up until now and expect they're gonna build their wealth forever. No, they should invest more into space exploration. It should be ordered to them. But hey, once again, those are my ideas. And somebody should or probably is able to polish them way more than I at the moment.